everybody, welcome back to Visual Novel Book Club. I'm your pal Slowbeef. With me, of course, is my good friend Devious Vacuum.
Oh no! I just made a huge
Did you shake it up on your way back and then it exploded on you?
Perfect.
I'm surprised it only took seven episodes for that to happen.
We need to travel back to the timeline where this doesn't happen.
This is what I deserve.
quick, get in
This
the
is what
timeline.
I deserve.
Oh my god. You're gonna have to send the memory of this back so that...
Don't drink that, D-Vac.
Well, if I'm gonna go back in time, I'm gonna enjoy it twice.
Whatever. My good friend Pullahoko.
Hello.
Hi. My good friend Jim.
Hey, everybody! I didn't spill nothing on my computer this time.
My good friend TurboC.
Yeah.
And my good friend orenronen.
Hi, I don't have any drinks here, so I'm okay.
I think D-Vac has had enough drink for the rest of us.
I think I've had enough. They're gonna have to cut me off.
You're cut off from Dr. P.
No more Dr. P.
More like Dr. C for cut the fuck off! What are we doing? What are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about
Chapter 6.
the next chapter. Yeah.
Whoa. Yes, that's right. This chapter is known as Chapter 6. I'm scrolling to it in my metaphysics necrosis. Whatever.
We start with a flashback scene, more about Rintarou and Mayuri's relationship. We flash back to shortly after Mayuri's grandmother passed away when they were children, and the origin of why Rintarou and Mayuri, like why Mayuri says she's Rintarou's hostage, and it's very unsettling. She falls into a pretty serious depression after she loses her grandmother, and who she was very close with, and she spends day after day just standing in front of her grave, like staring at it, and reaching up toward the sky like she does.
And not speaking at all.
Yeah, and she won't talk to anyone.
Anyway, it's been months.
Yeah, for months. And he says one day he would sit there with her and just say like, "Hey, Mayuri, Mayuri, Mayuri," and she would never respond to him. And one day the rain stopped and the clouds parted, and there were like god rays coming out of the clouds, and the way that she was looking at them and the way her hand was up, reaching toward them, he, in that moment, like, earnestly thought she was gonna disappear. Like, she was gonna, like, I guess, go be with her grandmother in that moment. And so he felt compelled to run up to her and grab her, and he's like, "You can't go, you're my hostage." And he starts his act.
That was the start.
Yeah. This is the first thing that came to his mind, and he's like, alright, I'm gonna mimic a mad scientist from TV.
Yeah, he's mimicking the
Their
villain
favorite
of...
show.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw this out there too. I had no idea that's what god rays were for like my whole life. I thought, you know, when you're looking into water, like in the ocean, and you see the sunlight like kind of go through and wave in those lines, I thought those were god rays, but they're the lines that come out of the sky. That's shit. That makes sense.
I think they're both, though. I think it's both.
I've seen them called, Stairways to Heaven.
Stairways to Heaven? That's... No.
Well, because it...
Well, not that I don't believe you. I'm just saying that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous name.
You thought they were underwater, so you know what?
What?
Pretty
All
ones
right.
from the paintings.
And they're Jacob's Ladders, too. Now I'm just going through the whole entire Wikipedia list.
Sorry, there's no secular name, I guess.
I didn't even realize they were called a thing. I just thought they were called sun rays.
Oh, there you go, Sunray.
Yeah, the God Ray things is like the video game trope of what we refer to it when we see them in games.
So that is the origin of Rintarou's Chunibyo syndrome. He admits that he started keeping up the Mad Scientist Act based on this villain from a TV show they both liked, in order to keep Mayuri around, which is really deep and painful, and sad and sweet also that they...
The thing is, it kind of forgot all about that because there was, at one point, I think there was a little inner monologue of him saying that he didn't know why Mayuri says she's his hostage.
Yeah. Well, if they were like 12, I could see like not quite remembering it because you kind of like it was kind of a traumatic thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of weird that they both kept it on for so long.
Yeah,
you know.
Seems like a basis of their friendship a lot. Like, because, before it was very, like, this is my friend because I'm near them and I'm around. And this is, like, becoming more adult as they sort of reach a certain point.
Yeah, I feel, if from the beginning, the way that he describes it, it's just like, oh, like, here's this girl who grew up near me. When it's very clear that their friendship is, like, very close and has been very close for a very long time. And he just, like, doesn't acknowledge it until more later into the game, but like they've been close for a very long time.
Yep.
It's sweet. It's very sweet.
It's very sweet. It makes me feel a lot more inclined to like Rintarou because it's like he's really trying hard and his motivations are very pure in what he's trying to do.
He cares so deeply about other people, and he's tried so hard not to be that person. Like he's trying so hard to be this mad scientist character, and it's all because he cares and he screws up. But at his core, he cares like so deeply about other people, and I did not expect that that's what this game was going to be, and I really like it. I really enjoy it.
And I kind of felt like early on that, is this like the mad scientist a crutch to shield himself from the effects of like time travel? And it might be just something he's doing to shield himself from the effects of caring too much. Like, because that he's trying to shield himself from hurt.
Maybe the real Steins Gate was the friends he made along the way.
So, we go through that memory, and we flash to, he just time leapt backwards, so he undergoes the sensation of receiving memories from the future.
And it hurts.
Painful.
It hurts. He wants to tear his own brain out and eat it.
Yeah.
It's very descriptive here.
So it's already like this. I think this is the moment where things at the end of the last chapter, things have just like flipped, right, to being really intense. Mayuri was shot. There was violence and betrayal and very clear time travel going on, and here we are in incredible pain, possibly mental damage, and he experiences this and immediately is like, that must have just been a dream. I don't believe it.
Hey, it's really out of it.
Yeah, and this is so bad. I mean, I get it.
It's understandable that he would think it's a dream.
Yeah, I get it, but the reader.
Oh, it's frustrating as hell for the reader. Oh.
It is. But this is also, too, more time travel like you're used to from other kind of forms of media. Meaning, like, he's actually back in time now, even though he's like, before it was just like the D-mail gets sent, but you're already feeling it, like, you don't even know or feel the process of the time change. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not even that, but I mean, like, it's just like you have to figure out what happened in the past. But now he's actually behind in time.
It's a little more frustrating that because there's that little bit of mystery, but now it's like we're just going through the loops again.
Yeah, now it's like you expect time travel to be. Like before, like even Rintarou was like, I don't know what actually transpired in the time we sent the D-mail, but now he's back, quote unquote.
Yeah, we only experience the presence and then the effect of the time travel. We never experience the actual time travel.
Right.
But yeah, so basically he's back, and the first time he's back, he thinks it was a bad dream, and he just lets the events replay themselves exactly as they did the first time, and just gets like a larger and larger sense of dread as things that he remembers happen again.
Yeah, and he really can't contribute at all. He's almost like speechless most of the time.
Yeah, he misses all his lines, but everybody says kind of the same lines. And did anybody notice anything, like, seeing it again with this new context? Like, did you notice any details you didn't notice before?
No.
I noticed that... I didn't notice last time that Chris goes in the other room and makes a call. And they don't say, like, he's like, Rintarou's like, oh, probably to her mom, but, like,
Oh, that's right.
she, like, as soon as it becomes, like, after the argument between Suzuha and Chris, and Chris goes in the other room to make a call, and then the armed men show up, like, and Suzuha said, like, oh, well, watch out, she's working with CERN, and so I thought that was a thing, that, like, if they tapped the phone or something like that, you know, like, that would be some sort of signal, whether intentional or not.
So you can skip this entire first loop if you want to. After you, like, at the very beginning, if you just call Mayuri, it goes straight into the next loop.
Wow.
Yeah, so do that, everyone. Sorry if you didn't. You should have.
That's what you get for playing the game.
Should have skipped forward by calling Mayuri on the phone. But we're in for a lot more loops regardless.
So now comes Rintarou's misadventures through time, I guess.
Now it starts to get, like, absurd. It quickly escalates to being absurd. And you think, like, okay, it's gonna take him a couple more times and then he's gonna figure it out. But...
Well, if you don't like Mayuri, you're having a really good time right now.
No!
This chapter.
You know, hey, I started out hating Mayuri, and I'm not sure I like what's happening to Mayuri in this chapter.
No. Mayuri might still be kind of two-dimensional. I mean, she has a little bit more dimension to her, though, as we learn more about her history with Rintarou.
A little bit, yeah.
That she is very much, like, kind of taking care of him, and then we learn that he's kind of taking care of her, and that they have this closeness, and, like, there's more to her than just, like, this sort of, like, two-dimensional, like, I'm a ditz who likes cosplay and is, like, the heart that keeps the team together.
Yep. She hasn't expressed. She doesn't do a lot of positive stuff. Like in terms of like positive action, in terms of like influencing other things. So it's kind of tough to get a gauge on her character because she's not putting a lot out there. She's more reacting to things. So, but yeah, I don't know. I've enjoyed a lot of her stuff just because it seems like you can kind of get a sense that she's playing along with Rintarou a lot, and also just being like, okay, let's see what you're gonna do. I don't know. You're kind of crazy, dude. So we're just gonna figure it out.
As we see more and more that how deeply Rintarou cares about other people, and then we, of course, know that Mayuri cares very deeply about other people, it, like, builds this picture that, in this history, that is, like, way more compelling than, like, what we thought of them in Chapter 1. Let's see. What all happens? How many loops? We have the first one, he
tries to call Mayuri, but she's not answering.
he call Luca, and...
No, he doesn't yet. The first time he just tries to call Mayuri, she's not answering, but he knows she went to the temple to see Luca, so he goes there, and she's not there. So he ends up waiting for her outside the lab.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the loop when she gets hit by a car.
Oh, is that? Because that's the one. Isn't that the loop too, where he's like, "I'll take you to the train station." Oh, right.
There's a bomb threat. He runs away.
Yeah, I was so mad.
And there's agents everywhere. There's agents everywhere, all over the city. Like, there's certain people, like, literally the whole town. Like, half the population of Akihabara is CERN agents. And instead of shooting Moika with a gun, Moika hits her with a car. Hits both of them with a car.
But he manages to, like, limp back and use the time leap machine again. Now, so I have a question. Before any looping happened, right? It's 7 p.m. about when Mayuri's killed and he time leaps?
Before 8. So he goes back to right before 5, and then he goes and then he comes to 8.
Okay, so let's. I just want to keep a little tally here. Let's just do it roughly because of math purposes. So it's like 8, let's say, when he leaps back the first time. Okay, so he does one loop, because I think he goes 3 hours back.
Yeah, and first loop is just like he doesn't acknowledge it. It's just like, you know, she just ends up getting shot the same way.
He's been consciously up, though. Now to him, it's 11 p.m. The next loop happens where she gets hit by the car. Now it's 2 a.m. for him, really.
He talks about it. He says he's not tired or hungry or anything because his body is the body that it was at, like, 5 p.m.
Exactly. It actually acknowledges that.
No, I get that. I mean, but this is what's tricky for me is just mentally, because he does get exhausted, but, like, it's like, even if you're feeling okay, I feel like there is just a point where it's like, Well, all right. Maybe this is getting too metaphysical.
Yeah, no, he's losing it. Like, he's slowly losing it more and more this whole time.
Like, it's having an effect on his psyche, because they bring this up later, but it's like you could potentially lose the concept of causality, like not know why things are happening or if there's a reason for things to happen.
Hmm.
And there's so Mayuri dies a bunch of different ways. He keeps looping, and they continue to like let him. He somehow manages to make it back to the lab, either because of the way that like timelines work, like he has to or something, or are they letting him? I was under the impression that they were letting him because like their position is like, come with us or we'll kill her, right? So the threat stands. No matter how many times he loops, she's dead. So maybe eventually he has no choice but to come with them. But then it sort of takes a turn where it's like, no, actually, Mayuri dying is like part of this attractor field.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like there's even a part where like she's accidentally pushed onto the train by Nay, right? Nay,
Nay, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still not sure. Like, I feel like it also could be like, because they do this like this close up on Nay's creepy face, and I'm like, well, did she or did CERN shoot some memories into her brain? You know.
Hmm.
The weird thing is though, like CERN like permits him to go back to the time machine multiple times. Because like clearly they could stop him if they needed to, and one time they just back off, like after the car accident. And it seems like almost every time he's allowed to go back to the time machine, and that part I don't know why.
With the car accident, Moeka hits Mayuri, and then she gets out of the car, and then Rintarou hits her or something, and takes her down, and then he escapes to the lab.
Yeah, he fights his way out of the car.
Yeah, and he notices that the rest of the agents aren't chasing him.
Yeah, so they are specifically not like confronting him after that.
I mean, they kind of go over this later. I mean, but I'm pretty sure that they have to let him in order to get a functioning time leak machine, which means that they get their time machine.
Or that's just what the attractor field says, that he gets back if he wants, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe they can't control it either. I don't know.
Because it is, right? And that this whole thing becomes this question of, is it fate? Is it this attractor field? Or is it like a direct manipulation and a threat?
Yeah, because CERN has their time machine too, so it's like dueling time machines.
I mean, CERN doesn't have the time machine yet. At least I don't think so.
But they will.
At least not a functioning one that we...
Yeah, they will in the future.
They will.
But anyway, it leaps several times, and every time Mayuri seems to get killed around the same time in different ways. They try different routes and different actions.
And if he had sent her away by herself, right? Like, would she still have died? Like, he's always trying to go with her, and like they take the one time they take a taxi, and they're in the taxi and they get stuck in traffic for 3 hours, and a guy just opens the door of their cab and stabs her.
Well, there is the extra scene where she was left by herself for a period of time, she gets captured by CERN agents, and this is probably like the worst thing out of all of them, because she's been run over, she's been stabbed, she's been shot through the head, and in this one, her timeline is they kidnap her, fly her to France, put her in the Large Hadron Collider, and then send her back 50 years to be stuck in a wall as a jelly man.
Jesus. It is just... And so that's like an optional one.
And the way they reveal it is like... It's Moeka sending him a text message like, we have to talk. And it's a picture of the magazine with her stuck in the wall as a jelly man. It's like, that is fucked.
Yeah, also, fuck Moeka. Yeah, I'm done. Now I don't care what your excuse is. After that message, fuck off.
So it's gratuitous after a while. There's the after the taxi cab loop. There's he just describes another loop to us where they're like in a store and they call the police, and the police officers show up and they shoot Moeka, and there's a really good line which is, "This isn't America. Japanese officers don't shoot without provocation."
Most Japanese policemen don't even have
guns. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he even says it like that. Like, it was probably, was it a certain agent? Like, because that was such a weird thing to have happen. And finally, so we lived through it a bunch of times, right?
Before that, one thing I do like about this entire sequence is that if you know the area, if you know Tokyo, like everything Rintarou does is really, really logical. I mean, he describes routes and where the nearest stations are, and that's pretty much what I would do in his situation. Everything in the right place, the routes are logical, and it really fits with the real world, with how the real world Akihabara is located geographically.
That's pretty cool.
Nice.
That's really sad, though, because, like, you have to do what CERN's not expecting, Oren. I mean, that's the whole trick, right?
Now you just admitted your plan on the podcast.
This podcast has been intercepted.
Or maybe we know you're listening, Turbo.
That kind of touches on the fact that, like, I think the writing in this is strong because, and a lot of times when people are writing sci-fi in this kind of mold, they take a lot of shortcuts, which is number one. Like it's frequently like, oh no, we're just gonna eliminate all the options that someone would reasonably have. Or number two, it's like they don't explain things. Like why wouldn't you just tell this person this? And I kind of feel like Steins Gate touches on that immediately, like right when he first time leaps. He's like, or no, not the first time because that's the dream sequence, but the second time, once he realizes what's going on, he doesn't tell Daru and Kurisu, like he doesn't tell them what's going on at first. He's like, I don't have time to explain it, and he runs out. And that at first I'm like, what are you doing? Like, that's just stupid writing. Like, of course you have time to be like, listen, you guys may or may not believe me, but here's what's going to happen soon. So, like, protect yourself if you need to. And then as this goes on, you realize that, like, and what we're about to touch on is like, oh no, he's going to figure this out, and by doing something logical, like, I'm just going to bring someone into my circle and tell them everything they should know, which is what a reasonable human would do who actually went through a time loop. And with all your friends who had also experienced, like, built a time machine with you, you would just explain everything right off the bat. Just be like, okay guys, here's all the details you need. Now I'm going to try to fix this.
If only we'd done that when we first made the machine, instead of just telling everybody that we came up to on the street that we have a time machine.
Yeah.
Daru would say something perverted, though, and just I'd be like, I'm not doing that in the next timeline, forget it.
Can you explain it in hentai porno terms?
Right.
That happens again.
What do you mean she's jelly? Does that mean she's wet? Like, like, you fucking idiot. I'm so sick of you, Daru.
So, and also, like, all the loops, because they are by necessity summarized, because it's already dragging on a long time, like, I think it's definitely worth, like, taking a moment to, like, this is affecting Rintarou, and he's trying, and he has to see these, like, this horrible murder over and over again of his best friend.
Yeah, and he can't understand why he can't save her. I mean, it feels to him like the world is decided that he has to die at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So after about five of these, he decides to take a different approach, and he calls Moeka.
Says, meet me on the roof of the Radican building, and he doesn't have a gun, so he takes the channel change gun.
The toy gun.
Yeah.
The future gadget, and uses it to disarm her. And he takes her real gun, and gets her to explain who she is and what organization that she works for. Who wants to tell me about the Rounders?
So she's very, like, circumspect of this, but, like, she works for the Rounders. She is dedicated to both CERN and FB, which she still does not explain who FB is, but that her dedication involves her being part of a group called the Rounders, which is basically their investigative branch of CERN. They're non, like, publicized, like, almost, like, sort of like
shadow ops.
Yeah, they are. This is basically the CIA of that kind of stuff, or, like, even more than that, like something super, like, like super governmental operational, like, group that can, like, eliminate any problems that CERN currently has.
And there's so many of them.
She doesn't even know, and all. Oh,
I thought you meant so many problems.
Also problems, but so many people.
Everyone in Akihabara is
Yeah, and they're just operating independently of each other, apparently, unless like there's minor sort of like coordination, but it's like they are all these people that are activated by CERN and just, sort of do whatever the instructions they're given are, and they don't have any particular loyalty other than to just follow their orders.
Yeah, but the main mission is to find and secure all the IBN 5100s in the world.
And I guess Rounders is like referring to world line divergence, huh?
Yeah, like rounding up, yeah.
Like rounding down?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, I thought it was like they were rounding up all the IBNs.
I just thought it was a cool sounding name, honestly. I didn't even think beyond that.
Yeah, same here.
They were all playing poker.
Technically, they don't have to round anything. The attractor fields are doing that. That's just but whatever.
They, what else? So Rintarou is captured this other agent's there, obviously, with real guns, and they take him, but they take him back to the lab, and he's like, please don't kill anyone, just don't kill anyone, that's all I want, I'll work for you for the rest of forever, just don't kill anyone, but they just fucking can't do it, and they take him back to the lab, he fights his way out of the van and goes in and time leaps back again, and we're like exactly back where we started. Like it's like 5 p.m. just like in the beginning of the chapter.
He keeps leaping back so small doses. Like he never, like at one point he acknowledges like, oh, I probably should go further, but like he's only going in very small like time amounts.
You know what was annoying me too was I was even thinking, and we'll get into this in a bit too, it's like, why don't you time leap more than once even? Like, even if you go back and you're not sure what to do, it's like, buy yourself even more time, just time leap again now, right?
And that's what Kurisu's plan is when he asks her for help.
Mm-hmm. She comes to him.
Yeah, he just goes off and is like, doesn't know what to do, and but it's that time where she was going shopping, so she ends up talking to him on the bridge, and he finally breaks down and asks her for help and explains the whole situation.
So I actually really liked it because that's the point where he completely loses it. He doesn't know what to do anymore, so he just goes off and stares at the scenery, more or less. And she knows something is wrong, so she comes to him and she asks him if he had time leaped and what happened. So she actually notices that something is really wrong.
So I like this because we're talking about, with the whole D-mail thing, the only guy that can perceive any changes in time is the one that is constantly throwing on this mad scientist act and like everything is a game and pretend. But that's also the reason that anybody believes him that he's been time leaping, because now he's acting completely different.
Yeah, because now he's being serious.
Well, yeah.
And also, you would think if you were involved with making a time machine and then one of your that involved transfer of memories, and then one of your friends was suddenly like, I got a phone call and suddenly my entire being changed, you'd be like, huh.
That's it. That's the thing, yeah.
And like Kurisu's intelligent. She's able to recognize like, oh wait, that might be what's going on here. And she catches on pretty easily after that.
Yeah, that's a total, like, dental plan kind of moment. But yeah.
Lisa needs praises.
I love that Rintarou asks for help. I think this is such, like, a big scene for him and for his like, character development.
Yep.
And he calls her by her correct name.
Oh, and what's the big trigger, too? When he calls her by the right name. When he says, for the first time, he calls her Kurisu, and she's like, wow, that's the first time you've heard my real name.
And she decides, you should go even further back and ask for her help again. And she's like, if we don't, if she doesn't believe us when we go back, then here's this passphrase. And the passphrase is that what she wants the most in the world is her own fort.
Because she already has that husband.
Which I feel like probably has some, like, deep sentimental value that we'll learn later, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Hopefully, but the way Steins Cade's going, I'm not banking on it.
Before he leaves, Kurisu says, remember, I'm always on your side. So, even though she's done a lot of suspicious things, and Suzuha is like, don't trust her, I feel like in this moment, I would have a really hard time believing that she has been a traitor this whole time. Like, I think that would be absurd. Like, whatever happens with her in the future, it's more complicated than that.
Like it felt like a really genuine moment. It's very well written. The two are bonding at that point and sort of like trusting each other when they can't trust a lot of other people.
The way a spy would corner you. Anyway, yeah.
I mean, she might make a choice later, but like in this moment,
she's not a traitor now. Doesn't mean she won't become one, but
so he leaves further back. Before the machine is completed, before the headset is completed, or maybe right as it's completed.
Right before, 15 minutes before, so he has to like watch the game for a little bit.
Right before, but she tells him to wait until the moment she finishes it.
Yeah.
He convinces everyone to leave, and then talks to Kurisu privately, and proves that he has traveled back, and talks about it, and she talks about, so they try to figure out, again, like, why is Mayuri dying over and over again in every timeline? Is the cause something that they can even prevent? Because she says that she thinks that you can only go back up to 48 hours in the past. And I don't remember why.
The reason that he's only been traveling small doses is because apparently there's, like, danger. Like, there's a disconnect between your memories and your consciousness or whatever if you go back too far.
They said something about, like, your mental state can't be too different.
Yeah, that was, yeah, and then there was also a thing where she's like, oh, you can definitely travel within the time period of the machine being invented. And she's like, only 48 hours before that. And I don't know, like, it would seem like you could travel a little bit further back than that, even because your mentality would probably be the same, but they don't really get into why your mentality would be that much different.
She just said that the machine can only do 48 hours, and that's because she didn't have the resources to figure that out.
That's right.
Yeah,
you're right, yeah.
If he had a better lab, then she might have, he could have made a better machine, but right now it can just do 48 hours, which means that you can't go further back than 48 hours before the machine was invented.
So it also, like, Rintarou starts to talk about, like, that he believes that his consciousness and memories have both traveled backwards in time. That, like, he has that his consciousness has also traveled. And he relates that to his reading Steiner ability. And there's not really any basis of comparison. So, okay, maybe. But maybe he can, maybe if later he'll use it to go back further because of that ability. Who knows?
I mean, there's no way to prove that, right?
No.
Because, like, the interpretation is, like, your memories are you, that we've gone with so far, at least.
Yeah. I mean, in the alternative case, the person would have no way to observe that it was any different. So. But they also talk about, not yet. So, 48 hours in the past. As they're talking about this, Rintarou looks out the window, and, of course, Suzuha is outside listening to them, and Rintarou finally realizes that she's probably working for a different time travel organization. And, he tries to call her, and, she says, "I'm sorry, it's all my fault." She thinks that her choice to stay in Akihabara might be the reason that Mayuri died. They talk about that, like, the reason that Mayuri died could be, like, something further back, like the fact that they invented the time machine, or the fact that they hacked CERN.
Right.
That they, he can't memory travel that far back in time. So. Right. He can't time leap back to that moment and, like, not undo it. But they can D-mail. I don't know. So it's not impossible, I guess, but it's kind of like throwing darts in a room with the lights off.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Because they can't. If the problem is too, like, the cause isn't directly to the effect, so they can't even really know what it is, and it seems like they're gonna have trouble experimenting with it too, if it's just email, right?
Right.
And not that they get into that, but.
So, Suzuha believes that her choice to stay in Akihabara is the reason that Mayuri died.
That's a little later, so.
Right? Yeah. I didn't take very many notes at this point, but, like, he follows her to.
She runs away, and he tries to follow her, and eventually he can't. But when he gets to the station, everyone's pointing at the satellite. And it has
because the lights have come on.
Yeah, the lights have come on, flashing. So he goes up there, and she's in the satellite, but she can't get it to work.
It is very clearly, it's like stated, it's the time machine. And as she's trying to work it, she like burns her hand on whatever. There's like a black box in there with dates on it.
And it was set to 1975.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not working. It's broken.
Right. So with this new information, we've got, I mean, they kind of point this out where it's like this satellite crashed here, and Suzuha's like, no, it's actually the coordinates were a little bit off. It just appeared within the building. So there's one timeline out there where the satellite didn't crash, and one where it was correct, and then one where it wasn't.
Well, and I remember the very beginning of the game when we saw Kurisu. Yeah.
So Suzuha finally has to come clean.
Yeah, so she comes with us, and the first thing she reveals is that she's John Titor.
Oh,
How about that?
she's John Titor.
Well, what do you know?
Is Gohan or whatever on @channel. We're all out in the open now.
And we're Hio and Kyoma, but everyone else knew that.
Of course, everyone knew that.
That was the best because it takes a
cute.
while for
It
us
actually got a laugh
to get
out
to
of
this
me.
point. But yeah, it's like we go all the way back. Everybody's sort of talking to each other. Like Suzuha's going through her whole story, and then it reveals about like, oh, what's going on, and then finally we get the not the revelation, but Kirisu's like, oh yeah, I'm these two people, and then just as an afterthought, Rintarou is like, yeah, and I'm here on co. Yeah, we know, don't even don't no, we're not gonna go there.
What I like is that they kind of flag up, well, if you're John Titor, then why did some of your information not match? And the reason for that is because, well, CERN's watching me, and if I were to have completely accurate information, they would know it's me, and they'd consider me a threat and erase me from the time period or the timeline or whatever. So just put a lie in with the truth, and then it spoils the whole batch, and they think I'm just some person.
That's ridiculous, though, because
Yeah.
you're also saying I need the very computer that could destroy CERN. It's like,
But I lied about the one thing.
She didn't say that in this timeline, though. She never mentioned
That's fair.
the IBM 5100.
right.
Just in the timeline that Rintarou remembers when John Titor
That's right.
was on an American bulletin board in 2000.
And Suzuha says that she was born in 2017.
What?
Wow, last year. She's just a little baby right now.
Happy birthday, Suzuha.
And she tells us stuff about who the different lab members become in the future. In 2036, Kurisu is like a figurehead. She is dead, but she also is like held up as the mother of the time machine, the inventor of the time machine. She's like a saint or something, but also she's been killed. So it seems like she's dead, but her like image is used as like propaganda. And Rintarou is an infamous terrorist who is also dead.
You'd think they like the rebellion would use like Kurisu as like a martyr figure or something like. Well, I guess do we know how she died?
No, well, it's like she speculates that she was erased by CERN.
Yeah, and also we kind of know that like from Makise that they're destined in CERN's opinion to be just put into imprisoned and work on time machines as long as CERN can use them up. Like that's all they have their future.
The end. No moral.
And Rintarou was also, I think she says like it's that he is related to the rebellion that she works with. She works for.
They use his terms a lot, including reading Steiner and like other stuff too.
Like your own like weird slang that you made up becomes like the jargon of an entire organization. That's pretty great.
It is pretty great. And like every time she says it, like Kurisu's like, oh, really? God, it's just stupid name.
Yeah, it's great. she explains. So Suzuha explains like the real what was the truth of the stuff that she posted online, and she talks about world lines and attractor fields, and that each attractor field, the attractor fields are like actual like different results, like what would be alternate timelines, like in a true sense where something completely different happened, such as Mayuri died or Mayuri didn't die. And so the reason why we remember that John Titor wanted to break 1% divergence to jump to a timeline where CERN didn't win, and now we have the additional motivation to break 1% to jump to a timeline where Mayuri didn't die.
And they seem to be centered around large-scale events which change the face of the world. So one of them is Y2K, another one is the 9/11 attacks. I think another one was... There was a third one.
Something in the 90s?
Yeah,
Break up the
Soviet
Union.
Union.
Yep.
So basically, when these huge-scale events happen, there's a chance to break diversions. And then,
because something like there's a significant branching point at those, like Y2K. Like in one, Y2K really does ruin the world, and in the other, like it's no impact.
Or there's like a huge nuclear war between the United States and Russia, but in this timeline, the coup happens.
Yes, so there are different attractor fields, and they diverge in different places, and then several attractor fields can even diverge together even farther in the future, and it's an entire thing.
The way I understood it is that they kind of go through this with a piece of yarn, but I see it simpler. It's like, okay, there are no like parallel worlds. It's just everything is one world line. There's point A, which let's say Y2K happens, or the event happens in every world. And then point B is, for now, let's just say Mayuri dies. The world must always go from point A to point B, but how you get there is where you get the different timelines.
But I thought if you diverged enough, you could get to a different point B, right? Wasn't that the whole thing? It's because
possibly.
The way I see it, this divergence point that we are at right now affects whether a CERN becomes a totalitarian,
I know what you mean.
whether there's a CERN dystopia in the future or not. And if there is, then Mayuri is dead at this point.
Right.
So that's where we're leading. And the other thing that I think, the way I understand it, is that there is really only one real timeline at any given point, and the rest are just possibilities. So there aren't actually like different physical timelines out there.
Here's why you're all wrong. No, I'm kidding. The way I was looking at it is it works kind of like the quantum field thing, where you have to do enough of a divergent for, like, this is why D-Mail didn't really work with like small little things like Daru can't win the Rhinet tournament or whatever, but it works if it's significant enough to change the timeline. And in this is like a similar thing, where you can't just change one thing to try and save Mayuri. You have to do something big enough, like stop Y2K or whatever. It has to be like a thing that'll actually pull you out of the attractor field.
Yep.
And the reason is because at the beginning of this, just by chance, I looked up the thing on quantum levels and how you need enough energy. So when all you have is a time hammer, well...
Another thing that they mention, which I think it's very vague, but I got the impression that Rintarou, because of his ability, because of his like godlike observation, where he can observe between timelines outside of time, that if they diverge from this alpha world line to this beta world line, then his observation of the beta world line will make it the alpha world line.
That's a good point.
That because he can observe the difference, like that observation is what makes it like real, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's very vague still. Like it wasn't clear.
Well, no, her implication that is a godlike power does imply that, like, oh, you're almost godlike because you are rectifying this into being the main timeline.
Well, one of the things we theorized earlier was that he's in the singularity and he can see the timelines, right? Yeah. So that means if we are talking about a quantum thing where he can cause the waveform to collapse by observing it, and this causes the butterfly effect that causes the attractor, if he's the only one who can actually see the thing or observe it, then he's sort of the cause. So yeah, which is exactly what you all just said. Great.
So what's next? Then, so we talk about all the stuff.
The other big revelation is that Suzuha claims that the third dystopia happens because Rintarou sent his first email, and it was captured by Echelon.
Oh,
The
right.
one where
yeah.
Kurisu dies.
Yeah, and the Echelon, NSA Echelon system captured that email, and that's why Sir knows about them.
Right, and she believes that to be the case because of her father's will. So she doesn't know. She only knows her father. Do they ask her, like, do they know who he is? I don't know if she says. She just doesn't ever say what his name is for like a long time, and I think at some point they ask her, like, do you even know his name? But she so she doesn't say the name, so still leaving it ambiguous, right? Because she knows what happens to Rintarou and Kurisu in the future, but like she's not saying like you're my parents or anything like that. No, but she does. Her father left in his will. Like he believed that the ultimate cause was the first email, and
Which was an accident.
like at this point, like just going back to who Suzuha's father is. Like at this point, like who the fuck else would know that the ultimate cause is the first email? There's only 2 guys in the lab. Okay, like who else could it be? I'm like still holding on strong to the Daru Ferris.
Daru.
No. Come on.
She basically looks almost identical to Kurisu. Like in terms of facial shape and like eye shape and a lot of stuff.
She's got the 3 mouth.
So Kurisu is the dad.
Rintarou is kind of small and thin, right? Like she's sort of spindly too, in a way, you know. Maybe that's not the.
But she knows who Rintarou is in the future. Why would she? I don't know. I guess if he died and she didn't know his real name and never met him.
Does this mean Suzuha asked him to be the Messiah?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Suzuha asked Rintarou to be the Messiah.
Correct.
Another weird thing is that Rintarou speculates to himself in his internal monologue. He's like, if Suzuha hates Kurisu so much and like believes that she is a villain in the future, why didn't she kill her? Well, I think she did. In that other world line.
Yeah.
Oh, in the
Yeah, because when her time machine first appears, Kurisu dies almost immediately.
Yeah. I think she kills her. She killed her.
On the other hand, in that timeline, because Kurisu is dead, they can never actually invent a time machine.
Yeah, they wouldn't have figured it out on their own.
Right, which means CERN will never win. Yeah.
And it's gonna take Rintarou a hot minute to realize that, right? Because if they've got to reset to that point, then they might go back to that world line where she was murdered, right? Like,
See, I'm still kind of hung up on... I mean, we've kind of ruled out that grandfather paradoxes can't happen. But then it's like the universe just fixes itself. So what did it do in the case where the person that created the first time machine is killed? How does that get fixed?
At that time, you're in a different attractor field.
yeah different timeline.
yeah, the attractor field jump was when he sent the D-mail, right? So, like,
So the person that travels back is just going to be in this new world where time travel never gets invented.
This is all not sitting right, though, because I feel like his first email was totally accidental. There was already the time machine there that Suzuha traveled back in. Except it was on the roof, right?
yeah, we'll have to see.
Well, the thing is that they theorized that that email got captured by Echelon. That's why CERN knows about them, and that's why Mayuri is killed, and that's why CERN gets Kurisu and the rest to go with them and eventually invent a time machine for them. And we have the dystopia. So the main goal now is to pretty much delete that first email from Echelon system. And for that, they need an IBM 5100 because that's what the secret database.
Oh yeah, they figure out that probably the whole that database they couldn't decrypt was probably Echelon. That's where those files are stored.
And their solution is that they need to fix Suzuha's time machine using the 48 hours they can get by sending Rintarou back.
The reason they have to do it is because Suzuha's plan was after she finds her father in the year 2010. Her plan was to go back to, what was it,
1975.
1975 and get an IBM 5100 and get it to Akihabara.
And, like, probably the person who leaves it with Luca's dad, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
whole thing. That was her.
And because she didn't go back and now she can't because the time machine is broken, then there never was an IBM 5100 in Akihabara in the first place. And that's why they have to fix her time machine.
What if... Wait a minute. What if in that timeline her name was Veg? And when she comes to the shrine, her mother's like, I have to eat you to get a healthy child. And that's why the IBM 5100 is not there.
I'm like waiting for Suzuha to be a different character's, like, mother, really, or, you know, or, like, something like that.
We still haven't got any parents involved in any of this, so like
But who is Suzuha's dad?
Yes.
Why is she looking for her dad and not her mom? What happened?
And also, a time machine broke recently because if you remember, it actually worked at one time when
Yeah.
Yeah.
she ran away. So they theorized it was because of the rain that happened after that.
Right. When it was stuck in the building, there's like a hatch that's open, and it got all wet inside, and that's why it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, but that was a little more than 48 hours ago, so they can't go back that far.
We can't stop
But
the
they
rain.
can send a D-mail!
But I feel like... This is going to be ridiculous, but do you think it would help Rintarou to have a rest loop? Like, go back 48 hours, but not, like, just kind of relax.
Just relax. Just plays. It's the loop where he just plays video games until Mayuri dies.
I just gotta chill, man. I just need my 48 hours back and chill.
Did that work in Groundhog Day?
Just relax. Yeah, relax, watch Mayuri die again, and then go back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not that part, but, you know, like, just, like... But, you know, all right, not even, like... Well, all right, this kind of gets... I mean, is there any more update we have?
No, we get it. He just goes back and... I'm just gonna chill for a little bit, man. I don't know, she dies, who cares?
You'd think after a certain number of loops, he would just get used to it, where it's like she gets shot again. It's, oh, guess it was worth a shot.
Well, that's the danger, right? That's what it means to become disconnected from causality.
You basically you turn into Matthew McConaughey.
So, who do you think Suzuha's parents are? Let's. I'm still Daru and Ferris. Although I thought while I was reading this,
Daru
also
doesn't
a huge
fuck.
possibility that it's Rintarou and Kurisu. Maybe she couldn't actually kill Kurisu because Kurisu's her mom, and that would be a paradox. I don't know. I'm still leaning toward Daru and Ferris.
If Daru got the chance with Faris, he couldn't perform.
Wow.
Wow.
Come on, get out of here.
It's not that they have her next year, right? They have her in 7 years.
No.
What could happen to Daru in 7 years?
7 years is a long time.
I guess maybe he goes backpacking through Europe, becomes I don't know.
I'm Daru in 7 years, and I'm a different person.
Don't forget that in those 7 years, Daru has been captured by CERN.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe they torture him into not liking anime anymore.
Yeah,
Oh
he's
my
just
god. Monsters.
This guy's useless to us like this.
Give me your technology.
frankly, I think he has a better chance with the anime. I'm just gonna sit. No, I'm kidding.
It's like all the fucking time machine code has like variables named titties and stuff.
Right. Oh my god, that's a blast from... Anyway. Oh my god, I'm in Steins Gate! Wait, I don't know if I ever told that story publicly, but it was...
You told us the story, yeah.
Did you tell it on the podcast?
No.
That's the problem. I think I tweeted about it once, but I did have to deal with code where the programmer named all the variables titty and shit.
So I'm imagining that, that Suzuha knows about Kurisu and Rintarou in the future, doesn't mention anything about Daru. And I'm just imagining the future where he gets captured and they try to get him to, work for them, but he's just useless. Where it's like he just wants to watch anime all day.
But he is also really smart. But it's just insufferable. So it's
they just let him go.
What if, that's the only way they could track his stuff is, we just have to make ourselves, his internet, the backbone, you know what I mean? He is just that good, where conventional tracing didn't work.
What if they just, he will work for them if they pay him in anime porn,
Everyone has their price.
He already has all of it.
All the moe I could ever want. All I have to do is sign away my soul.
I mean, they have the Large Hadron Collider, you know.
We'll get you a date with the Large Hadron Collider.
He gets a nosebleed when they talk about boobies. Come on now.
He just gets a hard-on for the Large Hadron Collider. He doesn't...
That's what I'm saying!
Yeah.
No, that's not the only thing. He gets nosebleeds all the time.
So, could Suzuha be the daughter of Daru and the Large Hadron Collider?
Yeah, he could be the first person to fuck the Large Hadron Collider.
That's probably happened, right?
Well, probably... No, probably second.
Yeah.
There has to be somebody at CERN, yeah, it's like...
Large Hardon Collider.
There it is.
There it is.
Episode title.
Let me write it in the Discord.
Yeah, I was about to write that.
I finished my Dr. P. Refreshing. So, who else is going to talk about who they think Suzuha's parents are?
Oh, well, I mean, it's probably Daru.
No, it's Rintarou.
I know it doesn't make sense for it to be Daru, but it's probably going to be Daru.
There's just not that many characters is the problem. What if it's Luca's father?
There's not. It's like, it can't be Mr. Brown, can it?
What about that, like, doctor from the beginning we kind of forgot about?
Dr. Nakabashi?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least 2 more male characters.
he's the dad.
Dr. Nakabachi, and I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you time-traveling kids.
I feel like that's a weird thing because Kurisu says that her father studied time travel and he was, like, considered a nut job. And, like, so was her father, Dr. Nakabashi? Like, I don't know.
I'm Dr. Nakabashi, and I'm going to send you back in time, Mega Man.
We must get this immediately.
I mean, what are the odds that there would be, like, 2 time travel nut jobs?
There's quite a few, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know, I guess. There's a lot of robotics nut jobs, so I shouldn't really be pointing fingers.
There are.
I also kind of feel like if you're going to be like a major player in the future, you probably should have a more fleshed out character in the present. And Daru's definitely one-dimensional.
Well, then who are her parents? Even if, like, Rintarou or Daru, and...
Barrel tighter. What if she's Nay? She can't be Nay, right?
Can't be
She met her. Why can't she be Nay?
Because he was born in 2017.
17. Nay's like 6 in 2010.
Hold on. I'm working on this theory.
Okay, so Nade time travels, and then she's older.
Well, I mean, it's time travel. It could be anybody. It could be, like, Rintarou's grandkid or whatever.
I mean, it could be literally anybody, but you want it to be somebody plot relevant, I'm assuming. Like, oh no, Danny! Like, who?
Yeah.
You're my friend who I never mentioned or met.
They were off screen this whole time.
Yeah, who I've been telling about all this, but yeah.
Lab Mem 0. You know. They might do something like that, though. I wouldn't.
It's probably gonna be fucking Daru.
And?
And Miku Hatsune.
Satsune Miku.
Ferris, like I said. Like, come on. Like,
Oh, wow. You meant who the mom was. I kind of
Yeah.
completely missed that.
No, Miku could be the dad,
Daru
too.
with... probably Ferris, I guess.
I don't know. I think the fact that she really resents Kurisu means it's going to end up being Kurisu.
That would be ironic.
Daru and Rintarou are both parents. Are both her parents. The twist.
The twist. The future.
Yeah.
It's like they're clone parents or something.
yeah. Oh, I think I read an article that, like, that you can do that. You can do that now, today. Like, they
Yep.
did experiments about it. Yeah.
Well, they've been able to do that for a while, haven't they?
There's theoretical stuff that gets into like they've proven it, and that you can basically make your own human. And now it's into the more like no scientist wants to be the one to be like, "Yep, I did it."
Yeah, no country wants to be the one who's like,
No one wants to be the first one to pull that trigger.
Nobody wants that responsibility. Wow.
I am God now.
I'll do it.
Not unlike time travel.
You'll do it?
Yeah, just give me the instructions.
Don't.
replicating a human being?
That's science. Just Google it. Make my own human. No, don't do that, actually.
No,
Like,
don't.
like sea monkeys?
You will find instructions, but they're not going to be what you expect.
How to make your own human.
Okay.
Step 1, get
Next
Bowsette
time.
picture.
Next time.
Well, we ended when Rintarou just went back in time again.
Yeah, so they're going to send him back the full 48 hours to try and like bank enough time to like fix
To
that
fix
time.
it.
Yeah,
time.
and they're surprised he doesn't give this plan like a weird name.
That's right.
But yeah, he's serious now. So next time we're going to read to the end of the chapter, but we're also going to get an ending. So what I want you to do is, when the game asks you to send a D-mail, save the game at this point, and don't send the D-mail.
Okay.
Save and
Okay.
don't send.
Just continue on without sending it.
Don't send the email. Got it.
But save at that point because we will want to load that point later.
Okay. Thank you. All right, folks.
Okay, so yep.
Until next time,
Cool.
enjoy your Dr. P.
El Sai Kanguru.
El Sai Kangaroo.
El Sai Kangaroo.
El Sai Kangaroo.
El Sai.